Okay, hey everybody, back again. So this video is about primary and secondary sources for your MLA citations. So I posted a video and I posted a couple information bits on Schoology about what these two different things are, but I'll go ahead and reiterate. So primary sources are sources that come from the time period that is being studied. So primary sources will look like Homer for talking about Greek literature, Virgil, Roman literature, Ovid, Roman literature. So things that are actually coming from the time period of when Greek mythology was a religion and not now. Secondary sources are commentary on those primary sources. So a good example of that is the Edith Hamilton book that I posted to Schoology. Someone wrote it very, very long after the actual original sources and after the Greek mythology. So even though that Edith Hamilton book was published in the late 1800s or early 1900s, it's still secondary, even though it feels old to us. Also, an important thing to note is that book sources and electronic sources do not change if it's primary or secondary. You can have a physical copy of the Odyssey book or an online copy of the Odyssey book, and either way it is still a primary source, the Odyssey by Homer. Now, if you have Edith Hamilton, which I just said was a secondary source, she is commenting and she is changing the original sources of myths. She is a secondary, no matter whether you have it in book format or in electronic online format. That does not matter for primary or secondary sources. So I'm going to give you guys an example. So let me share my screen real quick. So this is a really good website to use as a secondary source, as well as the one that I mentioned in my last video, A Dictionary of Greek and Roman Biography. Those are good secondary sources. They comment, they add or change the original myths. So this website, I believe it's called Theoe, is a good secondary source. It has a lot of information that it's compiled from primary sources. So it's reliable in that way, but it is still a secondary source. It's not the original myths. However, at the bottom, if you have any of your characters on this website, theoi.com, at the very bottom, so right now I'm looking at Aphrodite. At the very bottom, after all the information, so we've got the encyclopedia information, where it talks about her and her different myths. We have some art, different hymns, physical descriptions of her. And again, not just for Aphrodite, they have a lot of different characters on here. So you need to look to make sure yours is on here. More art for her. But at the very, very bottom, it has all the original primary sources that this website used to pull information about Aphrodite. So Homer the Iliad and Homer the Odyssey are both on here, which are very true, reliable primary sources. We've got Hesiod's Theogony, the Homeric hymns, Aesop's fables, Pindar, the odes. We've got Sappho, we've got Prometheus Bound, Eumenides, Bacchae, Plato. All of these are good primary sources because they are when the material was originally written. And a lot of these you may be familiar with if you did the reading for last week where we did the Greek and Roman writers of mythology. Plato, Apollodorus, Antonius. See, Ovid. Ovid is a great example of primary source. So if you're struggling to find primary sources, this website, THEOI, will give you a long list compiled of your gods where they are referenced and where they pulled information from them. And sometimes there's even links. So if I clicked on Hesiod's Theogony right here, it'll pull up the information about it, and it even has a translated version of the Theogony. So you don't have to go searching for it, it's already right here, and it is a reliable primary source. You will still use this as an electronic source for MLA citations because it is electronic, it is on the computer, but it is a primary source because it is the original story of Theogony. It's just been translated by H.E. Evelyn White. So make sure that you guys have at the very absolute least one primary source, but I would recommend more because that material is going to be the most reliable. And then so once you have this source, you do the same thing from the previous video where you turn it into an MLA citation and add it to your list. But you would claim the author as Hesiod because he's the one who actually wrote it, and the work as Theogony because that's actually what you're referencing. But the website would be on theoi.com. Okay? So make sure you have your primary and secondary sources sorted out and make sure you have your MLA citations done correctly. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And again, this will be extremely important for when we get to our annotated bibliography assignment for November 6th. So please make sure you know what you're doing, and please make sure it's correct. I don't want to take off points for you guys because you didn't do it correctly. So please make sure that's done. I hope you guys all have a good day. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good one.